Hey guys, Super Horror Bro Mike here, and in today's Dark Deception video, we take a look at the character of Bierce and her mysterious backstory, which we can access through various diary entries unlocked when S-ranking each stage. Currently we have 3 audio logs to listen to, and so this video will focus on information gained via these particular entries with a full analysis and my personal theories as to what they mean when related to the greater story of Dark Deception and the character of Bierce herself. Previously, I had put together a theory trying to explain where the player was and who Bierce and Malik were. I'll link to that video at the end of this one, but to quickly summarise, we proposed that Bierce was the person controlling this limbo-like purgatory dimension, a place where lost souls such as the player who had led sinful lives would end up and then could be manipulated into collecting soul shards in order to aid Bierce on her quest to harnessing the demon Malik's ultimate power, though it was and still is unclear what for. However, these diary entries do shed some light on Bierce before she became the keeper of this otherworldly realm. She was once a normal human, with hopes and dreams, living on Earth without any kind of supernatural abilities whatsoever. So let's begin listening to the first portion of her audio diary and then analysing it after.
Those idiots at RKO wouldn't even give me a screen test. Selznick looked me in the eye and said he already had a dozen girls like me. Wondered why I wanted to be a movie star when I had a rich husband to take care of me. I told him that was the whole point of marrying the fat pig in the first place. Edgar is having another one of his degenerate parties tonight. I caught him in the bedroom laying out his black robe and that ridiculous goat mask he got from the prop department. He and his friends like to pretend they're such devils, dressing up and spouting mumbo-jumbo out in the garden at midnight. Every so often they pay one of the call girls a little extra to be their sacrifice. I'd tell them all what fools they are, but half of them work for the studios, and the rest are some of the most powerful men in the city. If Edgar can't make me a star, maybe one of them will.
From this diary entry, we gain a wealth of knowledge. Bierce wanted to be a movie star. She was an aspiring actress, but unfortunately didn't seem to have the talent to land herself any decent roles. Because of this, she had married Edgar, a wealthy gentleman with connections inside the movie industry, in order to try and get into the business. She married not for love, but for wealth and fame. Edgar had connections with producers, investors, and studio executives in the Hollywood movie industry by the sound of it, and Bierce speaks of RKO Pictures as a notable studio that she would meet with. RKO was an American film production company in Los Angeles that was founded in 1928 and closed down in 1959. This is interesting as it dates the time period for Bierce's life on Earth and the early events of the game, which we now know would have happened between these years. Her husband Edgar was into demonic rituals, and she mentions he would wear a goat mask and robes and meet his wealthy friends at his manor to act these rituals out. Bierce speaks of how he would sometimes pay a call girl or escort to visit in order to be their sacrifice. From the way this is spoken, it sounds like they were playing dress up and never actually killed anyone. Rather, these girls would play dead. So these rituals were all just a bit of fun by the people involved. In fact, they sound like an annoyance to Bierce rather than anything disturbing. She even mentions that the only reason she doesn't comment on their stupidity is because she is worried of angering the very people who may be in a position to offer her acting roles. These strange rituals actually have taken place before within certain circles. There is the well-documented Bohemian Grove, a place where it is said influential people, including former presidents, would meet up to act out strange druid rituals and conduct weird ceremonies. The footage on screen now, in fact, was captured in 2000, where members of this secret club cremated a coffin before a 40 feet tall owl in the woods of the Grove. So this story Bierce tells sounds like a similar if smaller version of such a club, a place where the rich and famous could mask up and anonymously perform fake demonic acts. Now let's continue on with the diary entries as Bierce recalls her first encounter with a mysterious stranger.
There was someone new at the party last night. A dark, handsome man with a strange accent. I took him for a European. Maybe one of Lugosi's Hungarian friends. He didn't seem all that interested in the festivities, didn't drink or even take much notice of the girls. When the robes came out and the warlocks headed out into the garden, he seemed more amused than anything else. Somehow, we ended up out on the veranda, sharing a smoke and listening to the drunken chants echo across the hills. I finally learned his name. Victor. At some point in the conversation, I asked him what he thought about black magic. I suppose I was trying to shock him, or maybe it was just the djinn talking. He said that people took such things seriously where he came from. There were all sorts of stories about those who sold their soul in exchange for wealth, power, and fame. I laughed in his face, told him I didn't believe a word. He said it didn't matter what I believed, only what I wanted, and what I was willing to do in order to get it.
Bierce speaks of a man from overseas. She mentions he has a European accent. This stranger seems to have a keen interest in the occult. However, he is amused by Edgar and his friends. Their rituals seem childish to him. This man, who we learn is named Victor, seems to believe that any dabbling with the supernatural should be treated far more seriously, with great respect and caution. It sounds like wherever Victor has come from, when such rituals are enacted, they are not done so lightly, and the consequences are very real. Victor went on to tell Bierce that by performing black magic in the correct way, someone could have whatever they desired. However, it would cost them their soul. Bierce, desperately wanting a successful acting career, didn't believe such talk and laughed it off initially. However, now let's listen to the final diary entry, as something major occurred that changed her opinion quickly.
I had my first screen test today. MGM called, out of the blue, and asked me to come read for a part opposite James Cagney. I barely remember how it went. I think I stumbled over most of my lines, but no one cared. They loved me. Every single person on that lot hung on my every word. It all happened just as Victor said it would. I've learnt so much over the last few months. I didn't want to believe at first, but Victor has shown me time and again. At every moment of every day, we are surrounded by hidden forces beyond our darkest dreams. They watch, and they listen. And if we call to them with the proper words at the proper times, they will respond. And if we give them the gifts they crave, they offer gifts in return.
Bierce finally had her big break after speaking with a mysterious Victor, a screen test alongside actor James Cagney. Cagney was a famous actor who performed most of his major roles in the 1930s and 1940s. With this information, we can now narrow our timeline of events down to these 2 decades. Despite botching some of her audition, Bierce tells us that nobody seemed to notice, and in fact, they all hung on her every word, thinking she was amazing and perfect for the role. Finally, her career had taken flight, seemingly as a result of Victor's dark magic. We fast forward a few months and it seems like Victor has stuck around to be a mentor to Bierce and school her in the arts of this black magic. Bierce states that dark forces constantly surround us and will respond if called by the proper words at the proper times. So it seems as if she is preparing to engage in a summoning alongside Victor. But from the way she speaks here, it almost sounds as if her acting career is of little importance anymore. She now seems fixated on these occult rituals, fixated on the darkness surrounding her. We must at this point consider if her meeting with Victor was indeed coincidence, or if Victor made sure to meet with Bierce, knowing her desire for fame and success, and saw a vulnerable soul who he could himself manipulate in order to acquire a person to communicate through when speaking with the demons he wished to summon, essentially making Bierce a middleman, or should I say middlewoman, for these communications, and so protecting himself from their influence. Anything bad that came from such a summoning would then occur to Bierce rather than Victor, and she would be so naive and misinformed on this topic to have any idea of the danger she may be placing herself into. Now let's listen to the final clip.
Victor has shown me the ritual. I know all the words by heart. All we need is a sacrifice. None of Edgar's tramps will do. But the maid has a daughter. that might do nicely.
We have listened to this audio in a previous video. It is very important to the overall story of the game, and indeed Bierce's character in particular, as it not only marks the first time she conducted a ritual alongside Victor, but also the first time she chose a victim to kill and then sacrifice to these dark forces. I have speculated that this sacrifice, the maid's daughter, may in fact have been schoolgirl Agatha, as she has a particular hatred towards Bierce. However, currently this theory cannot be proven for sure. What this does tell us though is that Bierce, who once was nothing more than a resentful wannabe movie star, over the months after she first met Victor, became something else entirely. A person with an evil streak inside them, someone willing to kill an innocent to connect with supernatural forces who could offer her gifts in return. So let's finish this video with a short theory about this new information and how it points to Bierce ending up where she does. As stated earlier, and in my previous theory on this subject, Bierce inhabits a ballroom in a limbo-like state, which seems to be a purgatory for the souls of those who sinned while on Earth. The character we play, for example. And these people have tried and failed to collect enough soul shards to repair a ring piece which would unlock Malek's infinite power and make it available to Bierce directly. I think the reason Bierce is here and pushing us to help us acquire this power is because she became obsessed with this notion while still alive on Earth. From her audio recordings we get the sense she wrote these diary entries while she was still a young woman, someone starting their career in Hollywood and trying to become an actress. If this is then true, then the Bierce we meet in the afterlife is a much older version of that character, and this suggests she spent many years with Victor studying the occult and ways in which to connect with the dark forces she speaks of, forces such as Malek. It would seem this pursuit eventually led to her downfall and potentially a betrayal at the hands of Victor, which landed her in this purgatory with access to various hell portals which contain parts of both her past sins and those of the other lost souls who also enter this realm. But Bierce, now educated in demonism, realizes there is a way to escape this limbo, and not only escape it, but retrieve her soul, return to Earth and the realm of the living, and also escape with the power of the ultimate demon, Malek, who we have speculated may be a representation of the devil himself. With this power, Bierce could do anything she desired back on Earth, and just like Victor used her, she now manipulates other poor souls in order to safely obtain this dark magic. Another theory to be proposed could be that as we appear in a floating ballroom and we know Bierce lived in a manor with her rich husband Edgar, that she is potentially communicating to this realm from the land of the living, using her magic to speak to the dead, in this case our character, and get him to do her bidding, almost like a puppet master pulling the strings from above. However, this theory I'm less sure of, as Bierce mentions during chapter 2 that she used to live in a mansion.
I used to have a manor like this. Much bigger, of course.
This past tense suggests she is indeed also in the afterlife and is referring to her time spent on Earth, her past life. Either way, these diary entries certainly give us some useful information, and when combined with our original theory about the story of Dark Deception, the pieces are slowly falling into place. But we'll have to wait on the continuation of the game to know for sure. And that's it for today's video. Please remember to give it a like if you did enjoy watching, and maybe drop a comment too, as well as subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you never miss an upload. This channel specializes in variety horror content, including creepypasta readings, horror gaming facts and theories, and general interest pop culture horror videos. So if you are interested in all things spooky, you'll find something to enjoy here at Super Horror Bro. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.